Hi, Mary.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hey, guys. What's up, everyone?
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
Hi, guys.
can you guys hear us?
Yeah, I'm good.
Well done, everybody. There we go. It was so good. Jill, you kicked it off, smashed it. Ricardo, you killed it. And
Yeah,
Cynthia,
that was so fun.
good.
Thank you.
Such a good start to the day. Mary obviously is going to be fashionably late, so let's talk, guys. How's everyone?
She's right there,
She's
bro.
there.
She's right here.
I can't see Mary. Where is she?
Or you got to switch to the grid view.
Oh, there
Wait.
she is.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Sorry, Mary. He speaks for himself, not all of us.
Mary, hold on. I thought you were going to leave me hanging like you did the other week for 9 minutes.
Wow.
I swear my team has got me working like I've never worked before. No, I'm just kidding. Amazing. So much going
So
on.
good.
So that was amazing. Are you guys having fun?
Super.
So much
Tons of
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of fun. Yeah, it's been amazing.
We're live right now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. We are
I'm
live.
always like going, okay, so am I in with you guys quietly, privately? Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing okay and everybody's not going too stir crazy, and for everybody back to work. I'm so happy. It feels like I see all these posts with everyone saying it's like their first day back to school. You know what I mean? So with back to work. So it's exciting. I definitely have some questions for you guys. And first of all, I just want to say to Joico, this is like so incredible. The amount of education that you guys have been doing is really amazing. And I think that there's nothing like getting, I don't know, like just to take our minds off of all of this to get so much great education and great social media support and everything. So I do have a couple of questions for you guys. Can I shoot?
Go for it.
Go for it.
Okay. So, gosh, I mean, I got a whole bunch of them that I want to write down. So Jill, I want to start with you first. Can we start there?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
first of all, I want to do one of those like, who are you wearing kind of things because it's so pretty. So we're
I
going to start
thought it's so cute. This is Farm Rio. It's super, super cute company. I found it not that long ago, and I'm in love with all of their stuff. It's so cute.
It's super cute.
Suits you.
It's like 50 degrees outside here in Chicago, so I'm still in the turtleneck because it's all I have from, coronavirus.
Yeah.
When I like literally left my Chicago house. So I guess one of the first things, I feel like our audience always wants to know, like, how did you become a celebrity stylist? Like, how does that happen? I mean, how did it happen for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that a lot. So as you guys all probably know too, it is all about connections, right? Our job is so important, that the people that we connect with, our clients, everything from somebody who is low at the totem pole to all the way up, right? So honestly, that's how it worked out for me, was just finding a salon and a base where I know then I could work with an agency. And as long as that agency could see that I was in an area, so moving to LA, I'm from Oregon originally, moved to LA. I started working at one of my best friend's salon, Rihanna Capri. We went to beauty school together. And I just started taking interviews with agencies right away. I told them my willingness to work, gave them an online portfolio. And sometimes what that is, this was kind of even before Instagram started. And so it was an actual website with my name, jillbuck.com, photos of my work. And sometimes it was just hosting photo shoots and doing things on my own so that I could get that portfolio built up and then share it with agencies. And then you just say yes to everything, is honestly how it works.
It's so true.
Absolutely.
It's I say all the time about being successful. The two things
Yeah.
I would do is just say yes. Yes to everything, whether it's paid or not. Like the whole idea is that you're going to learn, and anytime you get to work with a celebrity stylist, I call that a free MBA. I mean, I really do. It's a master's degree. You should be paying them. Of course, people will say, that's crazy, but it's actually not crazy because you're learning so much, you're developing context. I just want one thing that you would say is something that would surprise people about what it is to be a celebrity stylist. It's not all unicorns, and I mean, you've got to work hard, right? So just what would be those things that, how do you stay a celebrity stylist once you get started? What is it that people, what makes it really good to be a celebrity stylist?
Yeah, well, I think you touched on it a little bit. The amount of free jobs that I have done, just either to get a cover, to get a red carpet, to get my name in press, those are all things where it just comes down to, sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the connection that I'm making, and then where it's going to put my photo and my name. So that, I think, is number one. People think that, you know, we're paid tons of money for these red carpets and things, but it's over the long term. Once you build with your celebrity artists, I get, you know, booked and paid more on working with, you know, ABC or NBC, the networks, not necessarily the individual client. So again, it's the connections. That's number one. Number two, I mean, shoot days are no joke. We're not even talking 10, 12-hour days, and we're not talking normal hours either. You know, I'm a mom, so a lot of times I am getting home at 3 a.m. I'm up at 6 making lunches, all of that. So that's another big misconception, is it's not quick. It is long days, long hours with the same client. It is one little flyaway that is important to ABC. So if the ABC producer says you take care of it, you take care of it. So just a little insight to it.
I always say that, you know, a diva always falls, you know, because, you know, you can't be a diva. People always say, you know, celebrity hairdressers are the nicest people in the world. And I'm like, it's because you didn't meet the ones who weren't, because they weren't the ones that were willing to do the hard work and to take it easy, as you talk about in terms of doing all of your shoots. It's really
absolutely. And that's what keeps you in the game too. You know, like when I've been on set all day and another publicist sees how easy I am to work with, that publicist is booking me instantly on my next job. So a lot of times the agent doesn't book me, you know, it's that publicist that I saw. And it's because you just need to be laid back, and you got to go with the flow, and you have to make quick adjustments for sure.
Yeah. Quick adjustments, and if you're on time, you're 15 minutes late, right?
Exactly. Always, especially getting to location sites and all of that. I mean, everyone makes fun of me because I'm like 45 minutes early.
Yeah. But you have to be, because you've got to account for that, and everybody's paying attention. I say that all the time. Everybody's paying attention to what you're doing. So if you think they're not, you know, and for everybody that thinks that, you know, that being a celebrity stylist is easy, it's the hardest job being a hairdresser.
Yeah.
It
It
really
is. It's stressful, but it's also, I've met some incredible people, and I've been able to work in some of like the craziest off the wall places. It's taken me around the world, and for that I'm like so grateful.
Yeah. And with kids, your kids are beautiful.
Thank you.
But they're stunning. So
Thank you so much.
I want to talk to you about, just going off of this as well, just in terms of, you know, talking about just also looks and so forth and shoots. One of the things that that you were talking about, Cynthia, in your social media class is also just about content. And, you know, one of the questions I would have, of course I know the answer, but a lot of other people out there, would you, you know, in the idea of sharing content, right? Like, you know, would you rather take more time and have fewer posts with better work than more posts with mediocre work? What would you say, Cynthia?
Definitely better work. It's definitely about quality. And what I find though is sometimes people will take that one amazing shot, but they didn't realize that they could just turn the head to the left or the right and get a second amazing shot. So what is amazing? When that lighting is perfect, the client's hair texture is perfect, and the background's perfect, like try to capture as much as you can when you feel like you have that money shot.
Yeah. What would you say, you know, when you're thinking about what to post, you know, and what, one of the things that we talk about is like staying in your lane, you know, like figure out what your lane is and stay in it. Is there any time where you feel like you could post something outside of your lane? Is that dangerous, or should you really stick with what you know best?
I would say depends on the content. So for example, if you find that maybe there is something in the world that's going on, or something that is relevant to, you know, I really want to post this to connect, maybe it's a quote and you normally don't do quotes, then post a quote, but then maybe archive it before your next post, so that way you can still keep with your aesthetic.
That's, you know, it's interesting because I think not a lot of people use archiving in a way that is, including me personally, I rarely archive anything. So I'm like, I always kind of forget to go back and do that. But I think that that's really true. There are a lot of different things that just don't do as well. And then it sort of like gets in the way of your overall look and feel, you know, of your page. But I think that it's good advice to do that. Although I like quotes, I think you're right. But I think sometimes we can be a little bit too reliant on quotes, right? I think
Absolutely.
you have to be a little bit careful about. I'm just thinking about how I would even make that suggestion. I think, you know, for us, we talk a lot about, you know, making sure that I would say just because you can doesn't mean you should. So just because you I said do twice. Just because you can do creative color when you're used to doing balayage doesn't mean that you should post that creative color, because we know that whatever it is that you post is what you attract, right?
Yeah.
So, people say, but I want to be creative. I want to show people what I can do. But this is a business page. I mean, meaning it's for what you want to achieve in your business, right? So would you say the same thing? You got to be very thoughtful about what you're posting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do find some people, like, I'm a perfectionist, that we just are sometimes like, oh, is this perfect? Like, that's what I love about Gina, Bianca and our Joico team. They post, they jump in, and it's the same thing. And if it doesn't work, you can always archive. So that's definitely a huge tip.
I love that too. So, Ricardo, let's talk for a second. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Great to see you.
Great to see you.
So I know you're kind of a Joico educator nerd.
A little bit of a nerd, yeah.
Love your education. Tell me what you love the best about teaching.
Ooh, how long is this segment? How long do you have? Okay.
See you later, guys.
You know,
bye-bye.
Richard gets nothing. You know, for me, I just, the biggest thing about education is just that the ability to share with others and creating those connections and those relationships, even if I never personally got to meet somebody who maybe took some value out of what I got to show them, just knowing and maybe hearing at some point from them that, hey, you know, I took this tip or whatever from what you did, or that class that you did really spoke to me, or something along those lines. That really resonates with me. So for me, it's all about that connection and that relationship in so many different ways. Like Jill was saying, you know, all the things she volunteered for, she said yes to, kind of built those relationships, and those connections continue to blossom into what she has now. I think the same thing, not with celebrities for me, but with education. And I feel like that has kind of blossomed into, you know, the role that I have now with Joico, and able to share that with so many people.
Yeah, I think, you know, and Richard too is obviously, you know, just, I mean, educator by heart, I mean, by trade, but I think motivator by heart. And I think, you know, I see that with so many Joico educators, that you guys really, you just genuinely love what you do. And I think motivation is a big part. You know, every time I'm on stage, I always turn to my hairdressers that are standing on stage and say, I hope that that every one of you will remember when you're standing on stage about the moment you were sitting in the audience, and there was somebody in the audience, there was some educator that was on stage that made you want to be better, that made you want to be great. Who was that for you?
Ooh, you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be.
I'll answer for it. It was me, Mary. It was me.
So I didn't know who Richard was until about a year. No, I'm kidding. You know, that's tough. I think for me, it probably goes all the way back to hair school. Like my first hair school teacher, when I saw her standing in front of our class and just pouring out so much of her passion, that spoke to me. And then she also was an educator at the time for Rusk. So she took me in with them, and I got to kind of see what the whole world of education and kind of, you know, the corporate side of things was like. So I would say her name was Sue-Ann Cinnamon. She was a fantastic educator.
I love that name.
Yep. Yeah, Miss Sue-Ann, she was fantastic. And then from there, like, she just introduced me to so many people. I got to meet like Gerard Caruso, Anthony Muscullo with TG. I got to see him, and then like some of the originals with Joico when I saw them, Sue Pemberton, Damian Carney, it's Philip Wilson, like there's so many people, like I couldn't even put into, like it's too many, but I would say it all started with her. She was like my first real inspiration for it.
Yeah. So Richard, I want to go to you and ask you something similar, but I know that you're truly, with your turning guy training for so many years, you truly are one of the best hair cutters out. I mean, you're just so good at it. But the only thing that you're probably, I can't say this because I'm not, but the thing that to me, you're amazing at that, and editorial styling, which is so important, because I also love the fact that you take editorial looks and you can show them you have the ability to show them in very wearable ways. It's not editorial that's completely unwearable. Like, let me just like move this hair just a little bit and then it's editorial. It's like really beautiful editorial branding. You have a really wide, array of what you do, but everything is so tasteful. But I want to get to that in just a second. But one of the questions I have for you is just about that. When you take the stage, like not only do you command it, but you do it with such a strength of wisdom and this kind of thing that just captures all of us, I think, so much, because you motivate us to believe that we can do anything that you tell us, that we believe that we can do with hard work. Where does that come from for you? Like, how did you become such an incredible motivator?
Wow, that's a good question. Thank you for that beautiful compliment, Mary. I feel humbled. I just love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do, and I love the people I do it for. I think education is all about elevating other people. It's about inspiring other people. It's about touching their hearts. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I believe that our ceiling should be the floor of the next generation. In other words, our peaks in life should be the starting point for the next generation. When we as educators have that mindset, it allows us to pour everything out from our hearts to really help educate, inspire, and motivate each person in the audience. And I've been doing this for a very long time. I started with Tony and Guy and started being on stage when I was 16 years old. And then I started doing education in Sydney. I started traveling all around Australia. I was on part of the FAME team. So at 20 years old, they flew me to London. I was on stage. I think the early years of me doing this has helped me gain the experience to be comfortable on stage. And it's hard to explain, but as I walk out on stage, I just feel like I'm in tune. I feel like something comes over me and I'm just energized and sharp and crisp in my mind. I know that's really hard to explain and it sounds probably weird, but that's, maybe it's a gift. I don't know. I just love what I do. I love doing it for those in the audience. I hope that makes sense. It doesn't sound too cheesy.
I think educators that feel like they've been, chosen in a sense, I feel like, it's a gift that we're given, I think, and you can work hard on it, but I also think it's a gift that we're given to be able to do that. But you motivate in like such a way that, I don't know, that is incredible. Like, it's incredible. I want to ask you a couple of technical questions. One of the things that I would love to know is, you do so many haircuts. Like, what's your favorite haircut that you do?
I love cutting hair, whether it's a short precision or a mid-length or a longer layered haircut. With my training, we had to learn a lot of the precision, the layering, the foundational one length graduation, all of the different techniques. So, in the beginning, I felt it a little bit challenging to do precision. I'm talking like a perfect classic graduation or a perfect bob. But with my training, it allowed me to kind of cover all aspects of cutting. I just love cutting. I love cutting all types of hair, whether it be short, mid-length, or long. One thing I'm really enjoying is doing longer hair because it allows me to style the hair in a different way. Like earlier today, I styled this one with the straightening irons and created a really cool wave. With shorter hair, a lot of the times you can't do so much. You can put a little bend in it, etc., but you're limited because the amount of length that you have. But I just love cutting. I love styling. I love it all, Mary. I love it all.
I know you do. one of the I want to just peeking at that. I absolutely love where this piece is right here. One of my questions would be is like, when you're thinking about the actual structure of the face, can you give us a couple of tips on where that first piece is going to align, whether it's a bob, whether it's that longer hair? Can you tell us, obviously with my quarantine 15 that I've gained, it's actually been 10, but because I haven't been social distancing from my refrigerator, unfortunately. But I'm working on it because the BTC show, we hope, is going to be here.
Yes.
But I've not been social distancing from my refrigerator. But like, I know that my hair lifted higher and here is going to elongate my face, right? Can you just give us like 2 or 3 tips and just to know like how you decide where that first piece is going to go, or how you can take a face shape and thin it out, etc. And I want to hear
absolutely
color too, about how color can contour a face, if anybody wants to jump in after Richard.
Okay, so I always share that whenever I'm teaching, you've got to be technical and you've got to be visual. Because Mary, you can do a perfect haircut and it could be perfect and you can come and check it. It could be absolutely perfect. But if it doesn't suit the individual, not a good haircut. Same with color. Suitability is everything. Yes, you got to have a disciplined technique, but it's also got to suit the individual. So as I'm cutting, I'm constantly visualizing. My mind is 100% constantly going, and that doesn't stop until she leaves or he leaves the salon. So I'm constantly consulting with the client and seeing what will work. And I'll always leave it a little bit longer at first, look at it, move it around, ask a question and say, hey, maybe we could take it a little bit shorter. It's constantly consulting with the client to make sure that what you're doing suits them right there and then. They don't have to wait a week or 2 for it to suit them. You want it to suit them by the time they walk out of the door. So it's constantly being technical and being visual. Obviously, there are some basic, formats that we've been trained. If you have a round face, don't cut a bob. Keep it a little bit longer and narrower so you elong the face. That's some basics that we learn. But I think with experience, you'll start to know what works and what doesn't work.
Do you think dry cutting is helpful for that? Because I just feel, yeah.
It is because you see the result there and then. You don't have to blow dry, because sometimes you cut it wet and then it jumps a lot higher if it's curly, etc. But with dry cutting, and I think in this next season post-COVID, I believe there's going to be a lot more dry cutting because a lot of places aren't allowed to use the hairdryer. So we should be recommending clients to come in with clean hair, blow dried hair, maybe just smooth. We cut it all and then we can use the irons, the curling irons, just to create a little bit of movement in the hair. So it's kind of pivoting in another way to be able to cut and style it. So I've just recently bought some scissors for dry cutting, because when you're cutting hair dry, you have arc scissors. So there are scissors that are designed for dry cutting. So I'm recommending everybody, if they're gonna start dry cutting a lot more, actually buy a pair of scissors that's gonna help you, because when you cut with scissors that are designed for dry hair, they don't bend, they actually just execute perfectly and brilliantly. So that's what I'm gonna recommend everybody to do, is to think about dry cutting, but also be technical. Don't just pick up the hair and cut. The same way you cut when it's wet is the same way you cut while it's dry. You're being technical, you're checking for balance and making sure you're executing with perfection.
Yeah. And I love that, because I also think you can dry cut at the end when you're just finishing up, right? So who wants
That's
to
right.
Yeah, I mean, Ricardo or Jill, I mean, just thinking about color as well, and cutting, just about contouring, with color too. And Jill, if you want to take on the same thing, just about ideas as it relates to cutting as well.
Yeah.
Jill, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go. I think that is huge when you're doing your consultation with a client as well. A lot of times they're going to show us a picture of something that they want, but part of being the professional is educating them on why that's going to be good for their skin tone, why it's not, where do they work, take all those things into consideration. If someone wants purple hair, maybe they can't with where they work, things along those lines. So I think one, taking that into consideration, and then placement off of the cut. So I actually always dry cut, like what Richard was saying. I always dry cut, and then I color based off of the cut. So I can really accentuate those pieces that are going to make a difference for the overall picture.
Yeah. Do you think, do you guys think that balayage, obviously balayage didn't really exist to any great extent back, like I was thinking about the 2008 recession that we had, where we're going back obviously into a similar type of thing. We didn't have balayage back then. We didn't have these beautiful grow outs. Do you think we're going to see more of that? Obviously all the, you know, I was hearing somebody talking about triaging their clients as they're coming back, like thinking about it. Chris Jones was talking about triaging clients who needed to come back more than other clients, and saying our balayage clients don't need to come back because they do, but they want to get back. But that grow out, tell me about what you guys think about what we're going to see, you know, not necessarily post-COVID, but how are we going to see color changes in any way? Or are we going to see completely the opposite, where they're going to do something that they just, is just so striking because they've been, you know, in home for the last couple of months? I mean, any predictions from any of you guys as to what we're going to see in especially in color?
I think when it comes to that kind of color, I think we're going to see a little bit of both. You're going to have clients who are going to come in and they have taken this time and have just kind of reevaluated, and they're going to come in and say, look, I just want a complete change. Just change me up, start to finish. Give me something really dramatic. And then I think we're also going to have a lot of clients who maybe were very high maintenance before, who are like, wow, I didn't realize I didn't have to be so high maintenance. Is there something that I can do that can reduce the amount of times that I do have to come in? And so I think it's going to be a bit of a balance of the two of them, where we will probably see an influx of balayage. I know with all the appointments that I just have been booking now that we're getting ready to open, a lot of them are transitioning to something like that. They're asking those questions. And then I've had others who've said, hey, I think, you know, after this, I'm ready to change it up. Like, I saw your video with your red hair. I think I'm ready to do red. And then I talk them down first off the ledge, and we figure out what's a real game plan for it. But yeah, it's definitely, I think you're going to see a little bit of both with it moving forward. It's going to be a whole different kind of world as we move into it.
Yeah. Or
Go
ahead, Richard.
Sorry, and changing it up from a cutting point of view, there's been a lot of people that wanted to always grow their hair out and haven't had the patience, or the hairdresser keeps cutting it short. So from a styling point of view, maybe if someone wanted to grow out their layers, now it's long enough so you can take the bottom a little bit shorter to connect the layers to have a simple classic one length. So it can work both ways. And there's going to be other people that are going to be like, you know what, just bone it off. I want a haircut. I want to go back to short. But I believe it's a great time to take advantage of hair growing out and taking hair from the right amount of length to make it look fresher and newer, because it's not about what you cut off. It's about what you leave on. So in certain areas, if you leave certain layers longer or certain fringes longer, that can be just as fresh and cute and look just as great as if you cut it shorter, you know? So sometimes growing out looks can be really modern and young too.
I want to jump back, Cynthia, too, because I want to talk about, to follow up on what he's saying, on what Richard is saying, because one of the challenges in social media, potentially, is we know that short haircuts and more dramatic color, or of course balayage, are always beautiful and always so well done. But what do we do in a situation, let's say that we do focus more on long hair, what are the different ways that we can make long hair really stand out in social media?
Well, I think it's just with long hair styling, you know, how many different variations of the style can you create? Again, and then looking back to your audience, are you looking at a pro audience or consumer audience? Because consumers, they don't know how to make a low pony. They want to know how to blow dry their fringe. What we think is basic professionally is what our clients really want to know. And that's why they love us, right? So I would just share the different ways they can style their hair, if they're going to hop on a Zoom call or if they're going back into the workplace.
The other thing to keep in mind for everybody out there, you know, top knots, or just those like low sort of buns and so forth, and just getting that balayage underneath here are still some of the biggest numbers. So one of the other cool ways that you can really leverage longer hair is by showing multiple ways of whether you're slight braiding it or whether you're doing something cool. You know, there's a lot that you can do with it. But it is one of the challenges that we talk about is showing long hair consistently. And Jill, I have to ask you about your hair because it absolutely, I love this dark with then going into almost this purple, like lavender kinds of tones. Can you tell us about that formula? Like, I just want to,
absolutely.
How you did that because it's beautiful.
Yeah, so this is a very, very grown out, as you can see. I actually can't even remember the last time I got my hair highlighted, so it's been a minute. My normal formula that I put on like pre-lightened level 9 hair, like 9.5, is the peach and the rose from the Joico color intensity line. I usually mix those together. Once that fades out, then this new one that I put on was from the Love Aura line, the True Lab. And then just like a day ago, it was starting to just get a little like muted on my hair because I had a lot of colors happening. So I wanted to just do something to make it sparkle. So I put the blush, same thing, this is all in the Joico intensity line. And that just kind of gave it brightness again. So it's still in the purple world. It just kind of made it shiny and pretty. So I play with all those colors all the time. And I just love them because they're not permanent. So I love that I can have a fresh new color whenever I want.
Our team at BehindTheChair has been going crazy trying to do that as well. Like they are constantly changing up their colors because it's blonde. Obviously, it's been bleached under, and I'm really loving I really think that this post-COVID, there are some absolutely beautiful grow outs, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the prettiest grow I've ever seen. I couldn't say that, back a long time ago, where where you see these really strong lines of demarcation. I just think colorists are so much better at what we're doing. And I think also, balayage really adds a lot to that as well, that we're just seeing some really interesting grow outs for sure.
Yeah,
so I would think you just walked out of a salon. So Ricardo, I want to ask you something. I can't ask Jill because she's got a lot of celebrity clients. I want to ask you, and Ricardo, every client you have is a celebrity, so we have to remember that, right?
Right.
Because they just all are. I want to ask you about how you're feeling today about whether it's clients coming in. Some people are talking about, I should charge more, or some people are saying I should charge less. One of the questions I have is just about, if your client is coming in, and let's just say, well, first I want you to answer that. How are you feeling about pricing strategies right now? I know I have an opinion because I have an opinion on everything. I have an opinion on this, but how are you feeling about existing clients because they all need to come in? Some stylists saying I'm going to charge them more. Some are saying, no, I say, it's a long game. Like these are our clients and they're struggling just as much. But what are your thoughts about that right now?
Oh, well, you give me the good question. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Loaded question.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I look at it as I try to take everything as much as I can and try to keep that in the integrity in it that I have with my clients. And I don't necessarily put a value on the dollar. I put a value on the person. So we have been, my wife helps me with the scheduling, and what we've been doing is just kind of keeping things as it was. And we don't want to, just because somebody's willing to pay more or wants to do a higher dollar service, I'm not going to bump them to the front of the line when there was somebody who was right about to have their appointment, who was already due for it, that now had to wait another 2 to 3 months. It's not fair to that person. So we keep the integrity in it, and we want to just keep that in the same order. Once we've caught up with the people that we did already have, that's when we then will start to incorporate the newer clients and all that stuff. But I'm not even necessarily addressing any of that stuff until we get our first people done in the proper order that they were already scheduled.
I feel really strongly about that. Like, life is long, don't get it wrong. People say life is short, or take advantage of the opportunities. Taking advantage of the opportunities is not taking advantage of people. And I think you have to be really careful because we have, retail alone is 1 out of every 4 people that work in the United States. And we know that retail, you know, is just now coming back to work as well. So we have to be thoughtful of that. Now, people are talking about extra bleach and extra product. So there is potentially a thought around that if people feel like that. But I think it's, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that's awesome that you have that level of integrity, that you're trying to get them back in the order, and your clients will always remember you for that. And I think that's what the most important, you know, thing is. So sorry to hit you with that tough question.
It's okay.
One of the other questions I had for you was, you know, if a client comes in every 2 weeks for a touch-up, you know, should you give them a discount or not give them a discount because of it?
So I then on that, I think on that sense, you need to stay true to yourself and your values. So if you are, I go more so by time than by the actual service. So if I have to do something that takes more of my time and does unfortunately use more product, I am unfortunately gonna have to pass that off and then charge that client. But I do think that there is a balance between it. I'm not a big fan of discounts. We offer a lot to our clients. It's very catered to them when they're in the salon. We really are. It's almost like staying at a Four Seasons. We do everything for them when they're there, and because of that, we think that we have earned the right to then charge what we do charge. So I'm not one to drop it on that.
Joico gave me some questions to ask you guys, and I'm going rogue on so many of them. That was one of the things that they had asked. Of course, you guys know I never follow the rules, so it's just my thing. Sorry, Joico. But that was one of the ones. I love that you actually answered it that way, because, you know, men come in New York, as we know, and other places for a haircut every week. I mean, every 10 days. You know, yeah. Looking every one of their hairs. I'm like, why should they do that? So that's their choice, you know, to come in. And I think that hairdressers always struggle with their value and their self-worth. And I absolutely agree that, you know, you're building yourself, you're giving a professional service. So that's the client. You know, one thing that I was taught a long time ago, and I still struggle with it, is never get into somebody else's pocket. You never get into somebody else's, never make a decision for somebody about how they want to spend their money. That's not your choice, it's theirs. And, you know, it's one thing to try to, you know, hook them on something, right? Like social media talks about, but we should never get into somebody's pocketbook. We should allow them to choose how they want to spend their money. And that's their happiest time of their week or their month. You know, what you guys do for you know, for people, I often say on stage, I don't think most hairdressers really understand the power that they have of, and how important they are to their guests, you know, who it's not only the best, you know, day of the week for them, but it could be the best day of the month for them. You know, how often are they being touched and cared for? And especially today. So I certainly, you know, just want to take a minute and just not only say, you guys are amazing, but to every hairdresser that's out there watching, like, never underestimate. If there's one place today that we can look at and say that hairdressers are the poster children right now of what every single person wants in this country, and it's hair color and it's hair cutting, but it's that relationship. I don't think that there's another industry right now that can say that more than hairdressers, as we're seeing across the country today. We had a long editorial meeting all about it today, that hairdressers are the poster children for who every American in this country wants to go back to work quickly. Whether we do or we don't, but everybody wants a hairdresser to go back to work right now. So it is interesting to see that. Cynthia, I want to get to you just on something that I think came up and kept coming up, is about personal versus business accounts. I'm going to come back into business for a second. One of my questions would be, is under 10,000 followers, should they go back to, should they be a business account? Should they be a personal account? What would be the best way for a hairdresser to be looking at her Instagram right now?
Great question. I really recommend, if their objective is growth, then to go personal, because that's how you're going to grow faster with organic reach. If you want to see, they love numbers, switch to business. If you're already at business right now, and you want to switch back to personal, you can screenshot everything, switch it back to personal, and then wait 3 months, check your analytics in 3 months. Because again, what's your, your objective? Do you want to look at the numbers every day, or do you want to have more brand awareness and grow more followers every day?
Yeah. And Jill, I noticed that you add a lot of, you've got a lot of hair. You've got clients, you've got celebrities, you have your children. Talk to us about, because I think that celebrity hairdressers do it really well. Talk to us about when you feel that it's right to what's the percentage, or how do you, at what time is it right to share your personal life on your Instagram? Because there is a balance, right?
Yeah, there's absolutely a balance. And I think that when you are branding yourself, that's a big question to ask. For me personally, I'm pretty private with my home life, because I feel like my following, comes because I do celebrities, or I'm in LA, or, I'm showing a cool photo shoot, things like that. And so I sprinkle me and my kids in there just so people know who I am, but I like to remain pretty private. So that's sort of how I determine my balance. And then as far as taking pictures of celebrities, I never ask for a photo, to be honest. I don't think I've ever once asked for a photo. It is genuinely prompted by them, or it is press work, things like that, where I know a photo is going to be put out there. And so then I can use that, right? Whether it's on Getty or, one of those things. A lot of fans actually will post work, and then I'll use the fan work too. But I just feel like it's private, and it's not my choice if I share what I did on their hair. Now if they walked red carpet, the world saw it. So that's a different story. But a lot of times we are doing our glam in their home. And that's the other thing is that person okay with having their home in the background of their photos? So there's a fine line, and I think Cynthia talked about it a lot. Why are you on social media? And I think that is a question you have to ask yourself every time you post a photo. Why am I putting this out into the world? What's the benefit for that? So she's helped me a lot, really kind of narrow down my path and who I want to be, and how I want to represent myself. So
thank you, Jill.
Yeah.
I know we had a big event called Social Climbing a couple weeks ago, and it was supposed to be 7 hours. It turned into 10 hours. Wow. And it is, you have to, which was amazing. It was a great event. We had 800 people from 21 countries on. And that's the number one thing you have to ask yourself every single time is, what am I doing this for? What are my goals? Is it about getting clients? Is it about becoming an educator? Is it about both? Those goals have got to drive how you're posting content and what content you're posting. And also knowing you could be posting lots of creative content, but there aren't many clients that fall into that category. You're posting balayage and people say balayage is everywhere. But the point is that still blonding is still the number one business that exists. We know that. There's no question. That's the case. So I know we only have a couple more minutes. I want to know, it's Joico has always, I feel, been at the forefront of amazing products, but they've also been at the forefront, I feel like, of tapping, I don't want to use that word, of finding, and even not that word, attracting, because I think it's actually attracting really incredible people with really not only big hearts, but just some of the best in the business. And I want to just start with you, Ricardo, because you probably of the group have been there the longest with Joico. Is that correct? I would say.
Yeah.
What made you choose Joico as a brand that you really wanted to align with?
Honestly, it just came from, I was recruited by a territory manager. So I started on the education side, and it was when I went to my new hire training, and I really, she gave me some products to try. I was really impressed by the products. So I said, absolutely. And then it wasn't until I went to that new hire training and I got to meet, some of the team that was there to do the training, like Brandon Corbett, which who heads up our digital education now. And then, Tuki Carlson, who's our director of education, Pam Messinger, who's one of our educators. I got so much from them, and the relationship that I built right then and there. And then just every time I did anything with them after that, it was like adding another person into the family. And I think that was really the thing that appealed to me the most. Was it wasn't, I love the brand, I love the company, I love the products, but it's the people that sold me on Joico more than anything.
Yeah, we love everybody at Joico for sure. But I feel like, you know, some of them, if I can say Val, you know, just
Yes.
also been, you know, at the front of even seeing influencers and working with celebrity stylists. So, but always with like integrity. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't about like, oh, let's just go get a celebrity post. Like, let's really enjoy this relationship with people who fit, you know, to fit us. Jill, I would ask you the same question: is what was it that attracted you, you know, to Joico?
Oh man, the people, 100%. We say a lot at 901 that you can teach anybody how to do hair, but you can't teach someone how to be a good person. It just sort of, right? Like, we are who we want to be. And I feel like the Joico team absolutely is like a magnet, and, you know, we attract each other. And I can't even believe, I'm the newest to the team, and I can't even believe the confidence that the Joico team gives me, you know, just the things that they ask me to do. I'm like, wait, what? I don't do that. And they're like, but you can kill it, you know? So just, I think that is huge. It's really just what they attract, and their whole branding is being joyful, right? Because at the end of the day, look at what we get to do, you know, and look at the people we get to connect with, and there shouldn't be any reason that we have to go into our situations in a negative way. So that is definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Richard? How about you?
Well, I want to take my hat off to Valerie, because she has recruited a lot of people, and she's just so clever, and she's joyful. And I think like attracts like. When you're like that, you attract those kind of people. And that's why we're all very similar. We all love life. We all love doing what we do. We all love the brand that we do it for. So a credit to Valerie for recruiting everybody. I first started doing a shoot for Joico in Australia. And then I met Valerie. And from that point on, I met Sarah, I met Melissa, I met Edie, I met the whole Joico team. And it was a gradual relationship that was built over time. And I'm so, so thankful and happy to be part of a team that supports you, believes in you, and releases you to be you, not to be somebody else, to be a joyful version of you. And that's exactly who we are.
I love that. And Cynthia, for you?
Well, actually, I used to work for Joico 15 years ago corporately, and Valerie was my boss. So we became friends throughout the years. And when she knew I launched an agency, she's like, I've been monitoring your agency. And when she said, I need some help, can you jump in? I was happy to jump in and honored. But one of the biggest thing with Valerie, it's about leadership. And she is all about excellence, and you just want to be better and you want to be amazing at what you do. But then she celebrates the milestones, right? And so many times people do not celebrate, and she will pop the champagne just so we can celebrate and continue on our journey for success. And so for me, that is Valerie. She's our, you know, my leader.
Well, and we all know Valerie loves, we have to celebrate because we have to have champagne. We have to have
Yes.
I know. Like I said, we totally feel the exact same way about her. And I think the one thing that I would really like to say, you know, for everybody at Joico, and especially Valerie, because I know we're doing the Valerie, you know, like Love Fest, but it is really true. And I just want to say just a big thank you to everybody at Joico and to all of you guys and all of the educators. You know, it takes a lot of, it's a risk right now. Everything that's happening is a risk, you know, and instead of Joico falling back and saying, we can't do anything, we got to just get real quiet and we got to, you know, just sort of hunker down and hibernate. Instead, Joico went the opposite way and said, no, it's an opportunity. This is our home. Like, we need to make sure that we take care of them, and we need to give them all the inspiration and that motivation that they need, you know, to just feel like they can get through this and feel like, you know, that we're here for them. And that just is so true to the brand on so many levels. And I just want to say thank you to everybody at Joico that is on an entire group that had to make those tough decisions financially as well, to say, you know what, we're going to keep on inspiring everyone. And on behalf of everybody at BehindTheChair and my team, I just want to say thanks to all of you guys, because, you know, and I understand some companies have to stay silent because there's a whole host of reasons. But Joico's really stepped up and just really inspired. And you know what? Hairdressers will always remember who was here for them during this difficult time. And Joico has been absolutely right there with them every step of the way. So I just want to thank everybody for that, because it's meant so much, I'm sure, to the hairdressing community.
Thank you.
Thank you. And a special
to
shout out. Sorry, and a special shout out to obviously Valerie's team, Brandon, Femka, Guillermo, all the team. The past 2 months, they've totally stepped up and gone all digital so we can continue to educate, inspire, and just support the hairdressing community. So a big shout out to the Joico team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure. So is this our time up now? 3
I
o'clock?
think we've got another hour. One more hour.
Yeah, right. Olivia's gonna lose it.
Yep, this is our time.
I'm gonna go drink this for Val.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
That looks good.
We're gonna do a little cheers to you guys too.
Yep, our time is up, so we're gonna switch gears and have Olivia up. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary.
The voice of God.
Thank you, Mary and the team.
Great job.
Thank you, Mary.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good.
Can you guys hear
Loved
me?
your segment. We can hear you. Can you hear me?
There's
Yay.
all my girls
Hi
there.
guys, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
You
Huh.
can hear me?
I can hear you.
Hold on, guys. I'm trying. Hi, guys. I'm trying to hear you. Let me see if this will work.
Can you hear me?
Can you
Yeah.
guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Maybe you have to join the audio
Yeah, join the audio, Mary.
Let me
at the
turn
bottom.
this-
She
Hold
can't
on.
even hear us.
I can't hear you. Let me see.
Can I have that paper that's inside?
You guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
inside the drawer.
There we go. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Finally. I'm like, Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Mary.
Mary.
Hi, you
Hello,
guys.
my girls.
Hey, how are you? Hi,
Good.
everybody. Good. So Larissa, what's in that drink?
Coffee, no alcohol.
Oh,
I
okay.
was gonna go grab a Corona seltzer, but I grabbed a Perrier.
Oh, you guys are so good. Okay, I have coffee too. In my, I have.
Hey, if
I
you
have a
want to grab a drink, go grab a drink. It's happy
I know,
hour.
right?
Let's go.
It is actually happy hour here, and I mean, I could like put wine in my coffee cup.
I
That'd be
mean,
okay.
why not?
I know.
No one's gonna know except everyone knows it's on here.
I know. So, hi, you
Hi.
guys.
Hey guys.
Amazing afternoon. Oh my God. Gina, you look amazing. You're
Oh,
losing so much weight. Good for you. I'm
Thank
not.
you.
I'm not social distancing from my refrigerator, unfortunately. So I
understand
keep
that.
calling it the quarantine 15. So like the freshman 15, I'm like on my quarantine. No, it's just 10 pounds. So you guys, so let's have a convo. You guys have
Yes.
obviously supplied a ton of great information. So Olivia, I mean, it's so funny because I swear, like, I feel like I know you, but we really haven't spent much time together personally, but
No.
that's the beauty of Instagram, isn't it? So,
So we're best friends virtually.
so one of the, yeah, I know, it's funny. I know my team adores you. And so I know you guys talked a lot about, management, social media, et cetera. And I want to start with you, Olivia. Like, what social media advice are you giving stylists sort of post-COVID right now? What should they, we know that there's a lot of back and forth going on right now. I just heard that Connecticut is now shut down as of today, this afternoon. They just got shut down, even though they were supposed to open up in a couple of days. How do we, what kind of advice are you giving in terms of how they should be communicating with their customers, their clients, and their views on all of this?
Showing up, literally just showing up for your client right now. So this is the thing. I always look at people that do sales as when they need us is when they're coming at us the most, right? But if you're creating value all the time for your clients through content, right? Through communication, they're going to say, Olivia was there for me when nobody else was, right? So I'm making sure that I'm actually getting on the phone with my clients. I'm creating content based around the products that I actually sell. I have made over $4,000 by selling products. I have been hustling my videos. I've been talking about the Joico Zero Heat. I've been talking about Defy Damage, and my clients are asking for it by name through my content. So I think just a little things like that, and just also in our captions and in our stories and going live, and just being very positive and having that source of people to reach out to. I actually put my phone number on the internet a few weeks ago, and I was the scariest thing I ever did. Mary, I know. And I had a lot of people call me and text me and stuff like that. And that's where I saw myself, is just being reachable and being there for my clients. So that's the best thing I've been doing right now.
Yeah. Gina, same question for you. What ways to build your business post-COVID right now? What would you say?
Advice for stylists right now, I think just be kind. So my I talked with my team, and their number one concern is the clients being kind to them. So I know we have a lot of things to do for COVID. I know that there's a lot of like PPE and stuff. Like we got all of that in like the first 2 days, like when we needed it. What we really like need to do though is implement a kindness first policy to protect our staff from people who may be very sad and angry about COVID and not taking care of themselves and spewing it onto the workforce.
Yeah.
I believe that salon owners need to protect their staff, show up for their staff, their team, and really just think about the things that, like, ask yourselves what they're really nervous about, which a lot of people are they just want kindness. So my big thing is just be kind. When we're hurting and when we're uncertain and when we're pissed off, it's really hard. Take a breath, be kind, and just know that all of this is happening for you. When it comes to business and social media and all of the things, I mean, be kind. And what Olivia said, Olivia, like 5 stars.
I agree.
In the hustle mode, when you're in hustle mode, that's what I would do. If you're in a mode where you're like, shit, I don't know what to do, you got like, and if you don't know what to do, my mom used to say this, if you don't know what to do, do nothing, breathe. And you know what, that's my other another piece of advice. So
yeah. And I think, and I like that piece of advice, because that sense of, sometimes, and I really believe this, I wrote this on one of my posts on Instagram, is, the slower we move, the faster we think. And I really believe that, like, the slower that we slow down, the faster we move, so we need to take that time right now to just take that deep breath and to just like really think through so we can move faster on the other side. And I think that if you spend so much time worrying instead of like preparing, as I always say, like with my team, they know, like my whole thing has been scare and prepare. I'm going to scare you, and then after that, I want to prepare you. So let's get scared first, and let's take that time to get scared. But now let's prepare, and let's think about what the worst possible scenarios, and then let's work back from that. And if you can do that, I think you begin to get in prepare mode, and that prepare mode is where we need to be right now. And I think, also the one thing I would ask you, Larissa, is how do you build confidence in yourself and your team right now, for your team and your clients? Like, how do you build confidence going back and build that confidence that, just that we're doing everything we can. We're living with this. It's not going away right now. So we're going to learn to live with this. How do we build confidence for them from the second that they're walking in, or we have that communication with them and the team at the same time?
I think just for general, personally, me, I think being authentic about the situation, and not everything is rainbow and butterflies, and we are going through our feelings and our emotions. And there's times when I have my days, Mary, there's like, and the more I express it on social media, the more people actually can relate, instead of just being like, oh my God, I'm having the best day ever, and the more authentic you are, the more people can really relate to you and are drawn to you. And that also will inspire them to be like, you know what, it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to not be perfect, because the more perfection you show on social media, then the more people will actually have less confidence, because they're thinking, well, why am I not feeling this way? Why are they always so up and I'm not? You know, so just being real and honest with your team, with you, with everyone around you is going to really build everyone up, because it just shows that you're human just like them.
Yeah, I think that that's so true right now. I really do, because none of us have the answers. And I think that's the hardest part, is none of us have information. We don't have the answers. So the best that we can do is try to, you know, go with what we know. And sometimes that means we don't know, you know, and I think you're right, that authenticity, I actually think authenticity of that probably, which sounds so strange and the opposite, is actually probably more comforting, because
Exactly.
because you're not lying, you're not giving misinformation, you're not pretending to know the truth. And I almost wonder if that's not more comforting right now, that we really are in this together, and we really are doing the best we can in this weird time, you know?
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
So, you know, you guys you're not back, right? So you're in California, you're not back. Gina, you're back, right? Gina, you're back? You guys, or people that,
So, yeah, so today, we're supposed to open on May 20th. So we've been preparing, as any good salon should. But there have been people picketing. So some hairstylists don't want, you know, they don't feel comfortable going back. And I understand that completely. It's just, now we have to reschedule another 8 weeks of clients.
Oh, you're in Connecticut.
Difficult. Yeah,
you're
I'm
in Connecticut.
I found out
That's
today.
right. Yeah,
I did my screaming, punching, and throwing and smashing shit before I came live.
Yeah, I actually was just on the phone with Caitlin, with Color by Caitlin. So
it's awful,
yeah.
you know, and there's nothing we can really do about it except, you know, just wait and be kind. Like it's hard when you're frustrated, but you gotta just.
Yeah.
You know, California is being pushed back more and more, and
I can't even imagine.
What I've heard last, we're not going to open up stage 3 until phase 4, or it's phase 3 until August now. August, you know.
I can't even imagine, Larissa.
I mean, it is what it is, and like I was saying, I have my moments, but I feel like sometimes when I push through and feel like, you know, I don't feel like doing anything today, and I push through and actually get things done, that is when I like really overcome and actually have a great day, you know, and that's all we can do. And that's also how we can inspire others as well, you know?
Yeah.
I totally
Tomorrow
agree with
is supposed to be my first day of work. I'm in South Florida.
You're in South Florida.
Yes. So we were really delayed in closing as well. So tomorrow we're figuring it all out. The way that I look at this is, yes, tomorrow will be my first day back, and I am prepared. Like, but everything's going to change. I'm only taking like 3 clients tomorrow, and normally my days are 8 to 9 people. I have an assistant that works with me. We're doing every other chair, but the way that I look at this can be from a knowledge perspective of how I can educate other hairstylists on or when they get to that point, maybe what to expect. So that's kind of like what my mind frame would be, to like make sure that the stylist is more comfortable, and maybe the things that I've incurred that they don't have to worry about, you know?
Well, that's one of the things. We had a big editorial meeting this morning, and that's actually one of the things that we spent a lot of time talking about is, you know, what's the next step in terms of what Behind the Chair needs to support right now. You know, we're trying to supply so many different things. And so like, what is next on that list? And one of the things that we talked about is just making sure that we're communicating with everybody that has come back to work, and to learn, like, first of all, the big thing that we're all seeing is everyone is saying it was so much better than I thought it was going to be, which is makes us all so happy, right? Everybody that sees that is really positive by saying it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. My clients all made me feel so much better. So I think one of the things that we can do for sure is like just keep that positivity going, and then also like learn what would I do differently if I opened, you know, if I was opening this week, how would I do that differently than when I did open? So trying to supply that information, because again, I mean, knowledge is going to help all of us. We're in unusual times, and so everybody needs to learn from each other, and I think that that's really important. But I think the more that we try to not do the fear mongering is the most important thing that we can do, is to make sure that we're just doing everything we can to build that confidence with everyone. And I think it's a crazy time, but the one thing that you guys have shown, and the one thing I feel like Joico has really shown, and we talked about this, there's never been a better time to build a relationship with hairdressers than there is right now. And there is nothing that's been better than hairdressers who have, and what we talked about is, Joico and all of you guys have really shown up in really big ways. And as you were talking about before, Olivia, they'll always remember, your clients will remember that you showed up for them during this time, and hairdressers will always remember who showed up for them during this time and didn't just get really quiet and silent. And I think one of the most important things that we can do is educate on everything. So, it's funny because sometimes when we're posting hair, people are saying, are you guys tone deaf? And then we'll be like, well, no, because how much coronavirus can we need the break. So I feel like, that we're going to go back, and you guys are doing these incredible techniques. And I also think out of every crisis, opportunities always present themselves, and innovation always comes from it. So one of the things I would ask you guys right now, and Gina, I want to ask you this question. How have you seen, what are you seeing? We know 28 days makes a habit, right? So it's true. So what new habits have we learned as a community that we will continue to see as we move forward, as it relates to online education, as it relates, you know what I mean? Like, what is it that we're going to see, you guys? I would love each of you to take that question, because I think it's a really important thing. We've now been actually home twice that long for the most part. So what habits are we experiencing besides my lack of social distancing from the refrigerator? What are we seeing right now, you guys, in terms of what habits you think may continue as we move forward with hairdressing?
I think that, my wheelhouse and where I shine is helping people expand beyond the chair. And let people understand that they don't have to only do hair, and that, hey, if this income stream gets shut off, you better have 9 more. And I think hairstylists are starting to realize now that for my family, my livelihood, I need to have something else there. And really just expand. So I think that all the education happening right now, I think that there's so many opportunities to grow. I think that hairstylists need to get into at-home color kits. I think they need to get into the affiliate style retail kits, Amazon affiliate. I feel like everybody needs to really look at what they love to do. Maybe you don't love to post on social media 800 times a day, but that's not the only way you can make money outside of doing hair. It's closed-minded to believe that the only way I can make money outside of putting foil in someone's hair is to be an influencer. And that's not for everybody. You can
that's
be an educator. You can create so much with a cosmetology license. I swear it's my life mission to beat it into people's head. This is the best industry in the world. The world. You can do so much, and it's fun. And guess what? If you don't want to do it, done. Move on to something else, because it's the tree of opportunity. There's literally a tree with 1 million branches, and you have to use your life experience, your passion, what you're good at, your gift, and figure it out. So I think that that's the number one thing, is just figuring out for your livelihood, how are you going to grow? There's always another level. And I think that hairstylists, when it's taken away, then maybe you realize there's something else. You have to adapt and evolve, survive. Or we can watch Netflix and chill, or we can, wait for it to come back. Every answer is a good answer. But if you really want to expand and grow, it doesn't happen easy. You have to be pushed into it. So I think that's huge.
Yeah. Larissa, obviously you're such a technique innovator, and, have really just expanded, education in such a big way. How are you seeing education? We've been watching people go live, literally more than we've ever seen before. It's crazy to see how many people are live. How do you think that's going to affect us? Do you think that's going to carry on as people go back to work? What kinds of habits do you think that people will stay with once we do go back to work?
Well, I think, it's not even really a habit, but it's more of a passion. Times like this really shows your true passion. And it's either you really love what you do and you're going to keep trying to do it and try to build up whatever you're trying to do. Or like Gina was saying, Netflix and chill, And if that's the case, maybe this isn't your passion and maybe you should go towards something else. I definitely don't think there's going to be as many people live because they're finally going to be able to go back and, really truly do what they love behind the chair. But one thing that I think people are starting to realize is that maybe I do love to educate. Maybe I do love to teach. Maybe I do love trying out new techniques, and this is their time to really shine. And after this, maybe they're going to want to be on stage and go towards that education route. You know, so people are really finding out a lot about themselves right now, not only through what's happening, but like, do I really love this? And maybe I love it even more than that. Or maybe I should try something else because I haven't thought about doing hair after quarantine happened. You know, there's like two different types of people, I feel like.
I love that statement, Larissa, because you're absolutely right. Like sometimes, like my tattoo artist was saying during quarantine, he refuses to do anything with tattoo. He's only painting because that's his true art, and he wants to get back to who he truly is, and like, you know, not who he truly is, but his passion. And that makes so much sense, Larissa. I love that.
And that's okay. You know, if this is not your passion, probably thank goodness you're not going to be behind the chair anymore. You know, it's okay to find a different route that's your passion, not only for your clients, but also for yourself mainly, you know? So I think we're really learning about ourselves and who we truly are within ourselves deeply.
I love it.
Yeah, and you know, it is kind of funny because it seems like, you know, because Larissa, you come up with so many different color techniques all the time, you know, and you have to think about like, you know, when you're coming up with techniques or new ways of doing things, I mean, you really have to be passionate, right, about what you're doing to actually do that. So,
yeah, I mean, last week or 2 weeks ago, I was foiling like a crazy person for like 8 to 10 hours, just trying different folding techniques, trying to see what works and what doesn't. And if I wasn't passionate about that, I would have quit within half an hour, you know, but I kept going, trying to push myself through to find new innovative techniques. And that's when you realize like, wow, I really must love doing this if you're just at it for hours on.
They call that being in flow, right? Like
exactly
being in flow, and you completely lose track of time and everything around you. That's when you are in flow, and that's when you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. They say that, you know, like Brene Brown talks about being in flow in also, I know I love her so much too, is she's so important right now to be reading and listening to and everything. But when you're in flow and play, you know, like play often isn't fun for people. And you have to think about when you lose time, you lose track of time. For me, every time a BTC show comes and I'm thinking about the theme and I start working on imagery and I start thinking about, I just go into this weird flow. And sometimes it starts at 11 o'clock at night. And I literally will go, I can go for, when I first started the magazine all those years ago, I literally sat down and in 18 hours created every name, every section. And I had been trying for 2 months to get creative. And one night it just happened. And I went for 18 hours cutting things out, coming up with names. And I all of a sudden presented this to the team after not shutting myself out for almost a 24-hour period of time. So I do think that being in flow allows you to know. And if you can't get into flow in what you're doing, you're absolutely right. Like it's really important, you know, and Gina, you're in flow as for business. Olivia, you're in flow as well from a business and from social. Like we know where our flow is, you know what I mean? And it can be in multiple areas though too. And I think that that's really cool, but I think that that's when it happens. Olivia, I want to talk to you about your hair hack phenomenon, because you were talking about, you know, like really getting into being able to retail, and we're seeing such big opportunity, as Gina was talking about, affiliate programs and things like that as well, like where hairdressers are reaching. Because the one thing that we know is like you guys are talking to so many consumers too. There's no question. Like we're talking to lots of consumers. And, you know, when you're talking about hair hacks, how do you think, tell me about like how you feel about your hair hacks and like how are they affecting your clients and other hairdressers?
So this is the thing. My page in the beginning was consumer, strictly consumer. I was doing things on myself. I was doing hair and makeup. And then I started to do pro stuff and really showcasing the work that I did. So I live in a pro consumer world on my page.
Yep.
I went back to my roots during quarantine because everyone is a consumer, right? Even the pros are consumers.
Yeah, 1,000%.
This that I have in my hair is my bubble curls. This is completely air dried style. Like this looks like it's like a crimper.
Totally.
So things like that, I came up with it because I always put my hair behind my ear and then I put in a ponytail. So I have these 3 beautiful S-wave stains and then I bubbled them out and that's how it came about. when clients or consumers or whomever, people over the world, when they recreate those hacks and it makes their lives easier, that's why I'm here. Like, I want something, and right now, heatless curls are so in, okay, waves, whatever you want to call it. And the fact of the matter is, like, we're giving our mind a rest, like we're giving our body a rest, our face a rest, our hair a rest. So it kind of like coincides with everything that I'm doing. But at the end of the day, I had to say to myself, okay, one of my loves is being taken away from me right now. What else makes me happy? And making and creating content that's like a hair hack makes me happy, and it makes other people happy. And when they try it and then they repost it, it's very fulfilling. Think about it. For instance, when your client sits in the chair and you do that spin and they see their hair, they're like, that's what I missed. That's what I know that I missed the most, was that moment. And when I see other people reposting my stuff online, that's the moment for them that recreates the moment for me. So that's kind of where I filled my void this quarantine.
You know, it's funny. Like my friend Matt Swinney, he was like making furniture and making, like, it's just so cool to watch people. I'm just sitting here going to the refrigerator. Okay, I've said it enough 3 times. But no, I mean, I'm kidding. I've been working 14-hour days. It's been crazy. But I've gone live a lot. And what's funny is Caitlin and I were just talking, and she's like, you know, I really got to know you through your lives. Like, I really didn't get to know you. And I've gone live more during quarantine than I probably have ever been on stage, or, well, that's not true, but on live ever. Like, and it's been fun, and it's been great to get a chance to spend time with people. And I think when I'm not used to that, but why do I have to wait to get on stage to try to do that? You know what I mean? To get to know the audience and everything like that. Because I know, you know, I've been in business for 30 years. I have a lot to offer, you know, and at the same time trying to inspire people. So I do get that. The one thing I want to talk to you guys about, which I know is going to be a really big deal when everybody does go back to work, is I want to talk about your DIY clients that decided that they couldn't wait. And now they're coming back with color correction galore. So how do we have a conversation with them and about their color correction? Obviously, you can't shame them, but let's talk about DIY. Let's talk about, you know, how to have that conversation, and where do we take it from here? And are you expecting a lot of this?
Well, one thing that I can say, and we don't even have to have that conversation with them because they already know.
They already know.
They already know, and they won't do it again. And sometimes they need to do something like that to really understand why it's so important to go to the professional. We have so many years under our belt. We are licensed professionals. We are using chemicals that they should not. And it's almost like you learn after you do it, you know? And how I was saying earlier in my life, when I think about color corrections, I don't think like, oh my God, I have this color correction. What am I going to do? I just think of more of like, where can I go in and recreate that pop of color that they messed up on? Or where can I go in and add that depth of color that they added, like, you know, lightener, some crazy chunk of lightener, whatever it is that they're going to do. It's more about just going in and really just seeing like, where can I add that depth and where can I add that pop of color? And also, like, Joico is the company of healthy hair, right? And so they're going to see after we're done with their hair how much more softer, healthier, and gorgeous their hair is going to look. They're never going to do these DIY projects again.
So how do you guys schedule for something like a color correction in these times coming up? Are you looking at their hair in advance, like trying to see how much time it's going to take? Because obviously this is
stories. I'm calling them on the phone. I'm like, don't do it. I'm telling you. I mean, that's the thing. You have to just assess the situation. That's why I've been in touch with mostly all of my clients. Like, I'm calling them weekly to make sure they're not about to jump off like a bridge on something that they can't recover from. You know what I mean? And I tell them my hourly for color corrections too. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can try, but you know, even with Joico, they have the cute, like the Insta-tints that are color for the hair. They have the cover-ups. I mean, there are options that are out there.
Yeah.
But being in touch with them is kind of what happens.
Yeah.
They do or they don't, you know?
So in that case, like right now, what would you guys recommend right now in terms of how you can change like how can they begin to like what can they do right now that that can hold them over until you guys can get a hold of them?
I can jump in. I want to just add before we go off of this question, because I want to just add in that with color corrections, and I wish I'm in school right now I'm a student right now to do like life coaching. And one of the things I wish I knew as a color correction specialist is to always remember positive intent. So every human being's behavior has positive intent. So typically when a guest is coloring their own hair, they're just trying to meet some of their needs. One of those needs is certainty that they have control. So they want to do something to their hair. The other is uncertainty. They need a change.
Yeah.
The next one is connection, which is, look at me, I got my hair done. Will you do my hair for me? I want to be I want to be connected. I want to be loved. I want people to love my picture. And then significance, just being special. And these are survival needs that everything that we do is to meet these needs. And when it comes to being a color correction specialist, when it comes to being a hairstylist or a human being, remember positive intent, and you can never be mad at them. And when it comes to booking, because when we get mad, we get stressed, we get resentful, we get angry. You don't need to. Just remember, think of them as a 5-year-old. Just say, I forgive you. Okay, now what are we doing? But when it comes to the booking process and seeing their hair first, I have my booking set up. And if you guys go to my Instagram page, I am Gina Bianca, and click the link in my bio, don't book me now because I have to reschedule everybody. I haven't had time to even take myself off, but my booking is on there, and I have 4 options. I have an hour, which is express color service, and it's $125. Then I have 2 hours, 3 hours, and then a day. So in it, I tell my guests, I'm like, pick your budget. I'm like, pick your budget and I will wow you. I was like, I'm here to deliver. Like, you don't have to be worried about not liking it. You tell me your budget and I'll tell you how much time I have for you. And I think that putting yourself in control like that and giving the guest the option to give the budget is the only way, not the only way, but like to not stress yourself out over a color correction. Then you just go off of time and budget and you take the rest of it out. Yeah.
So, okay, so that makes sense. But will they know like how much time they need? Like,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter right now. I don't think for the next 12 weeks getting back to work, I don't really think it matters exact what people want unless they want to book the day with me. If you want to book 6 hours with me, you call the shot.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's in between, or if you book an hour but you need 5 hours, the answer is going to be no.
I can't do it. Okay, I see. That makes that. I mean,
If I can jump in really quick,
yeah.
Actually, I'm coming out with a video of how you can make your time more efficient when you're behind the chair. And one of the things that I was saying is I'm going to have a consultation with every single client prior to their appointment over text. And so I'm going to text them a day or two before their appointment and ask them for a photo of their hair in good natural lighting, history of their hair, and then their inspiration photo, just so I have an idea of what they want and the timing. And then also we can have this consultation over text, thorough consultation. So then once we're behind the chair, we'll go over things quickly, but we're not wasting so much more time in the chair while we could be doing the hair already. And also that way I can explain to them the rate that's going to be around, and also just the full journey that we're going to have to go through. So they have a full understanding of everything before they even get to behind the chair. And then when I give them the rate, they're going to understand, well, maybe that isn't my price. So maybe let's go for a different inspiration photo, something that will work for her and for me.
Yeah. And so what are you guys anticipating? What do you know right now in terms of your clients? Have they just been doing root touch-ups? Have a lot of them just not done anything? I mean, do you have any idea kind of where your clients are at this moment?
I know. My bleach on the roots, my poor bleach on the root clients. I have one that's 14 weeks out and she has tape and extensions. So like she's coming in tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like she's my first client. She was my priority client. But the one thing, we were talking a little bit about habits earlier, and I will say I am a booth renter in a salon atmosphere. I am everyone's friend. You know what I mean? Like I'm everyone's friend. If they cancel on me, I let it go. You know, I don't do policies and stuff like that. Not this time around.
Yeah.
This time around, because I can only take a certain amount of people, and I'm learning boundaries from people like Gina. I now can implement these things because it's that reset. We talk about all the time. It's that reset. It's that whole new world. And maybe through me taking a step back, it's actually given me the strength to really step up this time. You know what I mean? And I think my clients.
1,000%. 1,000%. It was what I was talking about with the other group is just about, you know, owning your value. And I think, I don't know why, but I just feel like hairdressers have such a hard time owning their value. And also, you know, the one thing that we know is, you know, and I've talked about this many times for myself, I've only just learned boundaries, right? And I'm in my 50s. So like learning boundaries, you know, I kept changing. It was almost like sand, you know, where the ocean went over I'd put it right in the sand, that line in the sand, and then the wave would come in and then I'd change the line, you know? And I think the thing is like, I think everybody wants, if you don't respect yourself, how do you expect anybody to respect you? And if you keep boundaries, then the respect and the relationship actually stays way stronger because they know what they can or can't get away with. And it's not even trying to get away with, it's just respect.